I just got access to LinkedIn's secret algorithm updates of this year. In fact, last month, I attended a private event where they laid out all of the biggest LinkedIn algorithm updates to know for this year and how you can use them to your advantage to get buyers for your services. So what I decided to do was take all that information and give it away for free. In fact, I hosted a webinar a few weeks ago for a full hour where I literally explained every single major LinkedIn update that you need to know about to get clients. I recorded the entire webinar and I decided why not put it on this YouTube channel. So that's exactly what I have for you today. This is a full webinar explaining all of the biggest LinkedIn algorithm updates you need to know to get more buyers. So without any further ado, let's watch it. Oh, and one more thing. Please just do me the favor of liking this video and subscribing to this channel. It helps me more than you could ever imagine. It'll help me create more videos to help you get buyers from LinkedIn. All right, so that's it. Let's watch the video. Thank you everyone for attending today. I appreciate it all. Nice to see you. I see some familiar faces. I see some new faces. I see a lot of people, which is great. Like I said, Jackie, hello. Sean, good to see you. Beverly, Paul, Tobias, Rachel, thanks for having your camera on. Jorge, Amy, good to see you. Manfred, wow, so many people in Dasha. Wow, geez. All right, thanks for giving me your time. I promise to make it worth it for all of you. Actually, at the start of January, I attended this private LinkedIn event. I don't even know why it was private, to be honest. But it was basically LinkedIn revealing all of these big LinkedIn algorithm updates that they decided that they wanted to roll out throughout the entire year. Now, the algorithm updates I'm going to go into are probably the big. There was a lot like really minor ones that are pretty negligible. But what I want to go over today specifically is like the 15 biggest LinkedIn algorithm updates, right? Because with these LinkedIn algorithm updates, this is going to help you, right? Because one thing I always talk about with my clients, I always say disregard the algorithms. I'm like, it doesn't matter. They're like the seasons, they change all the time. There's things you can't control, there's things you can't control. But this time around, it's different because they've literally they've changed the whole platform. If you even go look at your LinkedIn profile right now, creator mode's gone. Creator mode doesn't exist anymore, right? So the one thing I mean, not to hate on LinkedIn, LinkedIn has been so good to me, but they don't really inform us about these updates. They just do the updates and then kind of just say like, all right, go and figure it out. So this is why I want to use this time here to really just help you all, right, with this as much as possible. As usual, if you've ever attended my online trainings before, you know that I'm all about the value. I'm all about giving as much as possible. So my only ask of you today is that you stay to the very end, because if you stay to the very end of this webinar, then you'll get the most value out of it. And that's all I can ask. So I'll make you a deal here. So let me share my screen right now. So this right here, if you can all see my screen, this is my group coaching doc that I have with my clients, right? So we have group coaching calls every single week together with everyone who's enrolled in my program. Now, one lesson that was really valuable to all of us was this lesson here in July, where I did it on like really how to create a deep connection with your audience that actually starts getting people into the buying motion, getting people into buying mode for you and your services. So this is a lesson I gave to the clients, like I said, in July. And if you stay until the end, I'll give you access to this lesson, right? I'll give you the recording, everything like that. All I ask is just stick to the end. I promise. No kind of like, and no gimmicks. You're going to get this. Just stick to the end. I'm just gonna at the end of the lesson, I'll just look at who attended. I'll look at the attendance list, who stayed to the end, and I'll make sure that you get this training. Sound good? All good. Okay. So on that note, let's dive into the LinkedIn algorithm updates. I don't want to hold back any more time. So, like I said, these algorithm updates these are the most important ones that you need to be aware of. So I'm going to go into each one by one, explain what they mean, and essentially how you can use them to your benefit, right? So first thing to know, right, beyond anything else here, is that LinkedIn views are down across the board, right? If you're looking at your content these days wondering, why am I getting less views than before? It's not just you. Everybody's getting less views, right? Me, everybody. But this is not a problem, right? This is not a problem at all, and I'll tell you why. Because LinkedIn has really doubled down on AI this year, right? I don't know if you've noticed, have you noticed like when you create content, there's all these like AI features like, hey, help AI enhance you and stuff. To be honest, it's not that good, but it's they're trying to really incorporate AI into the platform. Now, with what this AI has done, and it's very intelligent in some senses because they have figured out who your ideal buyers are, who you want your ideal audience to be on LinkedIn. So for that reason, you don't actually need as many views as before, right? So for example, maybe last year on average, you got, let's say 1,000 views per post, right? And now maybe you're getting 700 views per post. So it's down 30%, right? Which is normal. Again, I'm literally, everyone's numbers are pretty much down, which is fine. But of the 1,000 views you got last year, maybe only 10% of those people were your ideal audience, right? Which is only 100 people. Whereas now where you have 700 views, that might be 30% who are your ideal audience. So you don't need to worry too much. So this is actually a good thing. Don't worry so much about the numbers of views. What you should be paying attention to is the people who are engaging with your post and the people who are viewing your LinkedIn profile, right? Those are the two indicators to see if your content's performing well, right? Look at those two things and see, are the people engaging with my post my ideal audience, or are the people viewing my profile my ideal audience? If the answer is yes, well, then just keep posting. If the answer is no, we'll go into that. Don't worry. I'll again, this is what the whole lesson's about. We're going to go and fix all that, but don't worry too much that the numbers are down. Okay. Now, second thing, LinkedIn hates links more than ever now, right? One thing you have to understand about LinkedIn is it's a publicly traded company, right? It is a company on the stock market, which means that the value of LinkedIn as a company is based on the stock evaluation. And the stock evaluation is just based on certain factors. And the most important factor that matters for the stock evaluation is usership, like the retention on the platform. How long are people staying on the platform? Think about like Instagram. The reason Instagram is so valuable is because people literally spend all day on Instagram, right? They literally scroll endlessly. LinkedIn technically wants to keep you there, right? Wants to keep you on the platform as long as possible. So when you are putting links in your content, LinkedIn hates that. Like they hate that, right? And the reason they hate that is because you're taking people off the platform. And when you take people off the platform, you're actually, LinkedIn is losing money because of you technically, right? The stock is going down because you are reducing the retention time, the screen time, the usership time on LinkedIn. So do not put links anywhere. Now, let me rephrase that. Do not put links in your content. Do not put links in the comments of your post. The beauty is LinkedIn has allowed us to put links on our profile, right? There's one spot. This is kind of LinkedIn's agreement with us. They'll give us one spot where we can actually put links on our profile, right? Use that spot well. This is your essential claim to fame right here. So here, let me show you this 1 second here. For those of you who don't know, do you see this right here? This is your spot right here. Put a link. Put your link right here. This is the spot you won't be penalized for. You can go and put this there. No one's going to say anything to you, right? You can use this to your advantage. So you'll be all good to go. Okay. Sound good so far? Everything clear? Yes? Okay, good. All right, let me just, okay. I see the chat. Yeah, Amy, go ahead.
So when you put a link in, is that the add the custom button?
Yeah, exactly. Add a custom button. That's correct. Okay, awesome. So now this is this next LinkedIn algorithm update is probably one of the most important in my opinion. So really pay attention to this one. When you add a new connection on LinkedIn, let's say you go and find someone who's your ideal buyer and you add them as a connection, just for the sake of adding them as a connection, right? They will see your content for 2 weeks straight. Every time you post content over the next pretty much 10 to 14 days, your content is going to pop up on their news feed. So your visibility to that individual is really high at the beginning. But if they don't engage with you, they won't see. LinkedIn will honestly say, okay, this person is, not interested in Sean's content here. So we're just not going to show the content anymore. Right. So if you're going to add a new connection, which is fine, right? Build your network, do all that stuff. That's great. You need to make sure that these people are engaging with your content, because you pretty much have 2 weeks before this person essentially vanishes. They might be still a connection on your LinkedIn account, but they're not going to be seeing your content anymore. They're not going to be engaging with you anymore, right? So this is something, again, to keep, to be very aware of. Oh, there we go. Put my head here. This looks better. Okay. But please keep in mind with this. Now, this leads to the next point here, which is when you add a connection, right? When you DM someone, let's say you add a connection on LinkedIn and you DM that person. When you DM that person on LinkedIn, nothing happens at that moment. It doesn't trigger anything in the algorithm. But the moment they respond to you, your content's going to be available to them for the next 2 weeks. You're going to show up more. LinkedIn is essentially deemed that, hey, these people are mutually interested in each other. So we're going to start showing each other their content to each other, which is great. So again, This is why it's very important to be smart with your messaging. Don't go and DM random people on LinkedIn saying like, hey, I think I can help you with XYZ, and then get ghosted. Because if they ghost you, it's over, right? You know what I mean? They'll never respond to you. They'll never see your content again. The relationship is done. The boat is burned, right? So just make sure that. So very important to get the conversation going. One thing that I like to do, and I say is, look, go and add these connections that you want, right? Like your ideal buyers, build your audience, have a casual conversation with them for a little bit. You know, talk to them, just get them to know you. As soon as they start responding and the dialogue's open, boom, your content's going to start being seen by them. And then when they see your content, everything starts to get easier, right? So you got to look at, I mean, I'll go into this more deeper near the end of this lesson, but when you got to look at your whole client acquisition system like a sequence, right? You can't go into everything with the idea of like, oh, I need to close this person. Oh, I need to get this person to buy from me. Like that's flawed thinking, right? Instead, you got to think, okay, how can I get this person to the next step if they want to get to the next step? The first step is sure, introducing yourself, getting the person aware of you. The moment the person gets aware of you, great, that you've accomplished step one. Step two is, let's see if this person is interested in what I have to offer. That's the next step. Can I get this person interested in what I have to offer? Even in the, not necessarily your services, the topic of what you talk about, right? Like when I add a connection, for example, my goal is, can I get this person to like my post? Because if they like my post, well, you know, then there's at least some level of an indication here that they might be interested in what I have to do, what I'm offering. Right. So you got to look at it sequentially. And this is why I'm saying the LinkedIn algorithms, they've changed, but they've changed in our favor, right? These algorithm changes make sense if you really think about them, right? They make a lot of sense, which is like, if somebody doesn't engage with your content or, you know, doesn't respond to your messages in 2 weeks, why should they continue to be bombarded with your content, right? Like it wouldn't make sense. So make sure, again, that initial contact you have with that individual, whoever that might be, is very organic. And the goal is just to get them to respond, and then you'll be all good. Okay. All good so far? Yeah. Yes. All right. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So I'll continue here. So next thing here is engaging with comments. So you probably heard this before. If you comment on other people's posts, it's really good. I think this is extremely underrated. They've actually said that the average comment, if let's say you make a comment on somebody else's post, each comment gets about like 300 views. Right? Obviously, you're not seeing those views. It's not like a LinkedIn post where you see the impression number. But when you comment on someone's post, that's getting about 300 views, right? So this is really, really, really good. This is something you should take advantage of. And it's a very easy thing to do. But then again, since AI is now involved in the equation, you can't just comment on someone's post saying like, nice post or good job, right? They'll disqualify that. They won't actually advertise that. You have to leave meaningful comments. If you're gonna engage on someone else's post, read the post, make a meaningful comment. A meaningful comment, something that's at least like 1 to 2 sentences, right? Show that you read the post, give your 2 cents, agree, disagree, whatever it might be, but don't just be like nice post or like an emoji. That kind of stuff actually will disqualify the viewership or any kind of engagement you might get. So again, very, very underrated. Make sure you're commenting. If you want a number, I would say comment on about 5 posts per day, right? 5 posts per day will give you about, if you're getting on average 300 views, that's 3 times 5. That's about 1,500 views just from 5 comments, right? Good comments, quote unquote. Now, again, you won't necessarily see that number, but what you will see from it, and this is important, is that, remember, and this goes back to the strategy and why I always say, like, you know, strategy is the most important thing here, is that your central landing point for everything on LinkedIn should be your LinkedIn profile. Your goal from your content, your comments, your messaging, your strategy, every single thing you do on LinkedIn should drive them to your LinkedIn profile. Think about your LinkedIn profile as that centerpiece, right? It's like, okay, that's the North Star. Get everyone to the North Star, which is your LinkedIn profile, right? And the easiest way to tell if your activity on LinkedIn is working is go and see who's viewing your LinkedIn profile. That's the easiest way to go and tell if your marketing activities are working or not, right? If you go and look and see who's viewing your profile and you say like, all right, well, like none of these people are my ideal buyers or none of these people are my ideal audience, well, then the activities you're doing are incorrect and they need to be fixed, right? But that should always be your North Star. Who's looking at your LinkedIn profile? Okay. So next point here is your post. Now, I don't know if you know this, but a couple of years ago, I think up until like 2020, LinkedIn actually used to have character limits on your post. You couldn't actually make a post over 1,300 characters. I remember this because I was posting and it was so frustrating because I would write a post and they'd be like, nope, you're over by 150 characters. And I'd have to like delete text and repost it. It was very annoying. But now obviously it's unlimited. But what I found out is even though it's unlimited, they favor content that's between 900 and 1200 characters, right? So you can post those pretty much. I don't know if it's as long as you want, but I think it's like a lot more now, like a substantial amount. But keep your posts 900 to 1200 characters. The main reason is don't bore people, right? Remember this: people don't read content on LinkedIn; they scan. They scan content on LinkedIn, right? They like think of the real things people pay attention to, honestly, is the first line. They try and scan through the post to find some other goods, and then they try and read the last line of your post, right? So this is, I see Amy agreeing with me. So yeah, that's the idea. So you got to keep your posts entertaining. Remember this, this lesson is not about content, but just one lesson to know about content is your job is not to educate as much as it is to entertain. Your job is to entertain first, educate second, right? If people want to get educated, they go to Google for that. People come to social media to be entertained. Right now, I'm not saying you got to dance like you're on TikTok here, but I am saying that you need to find that fine balance when you're posting content on LinkedIn between entertaining and educating. And the easiest way to do that, if you go look at my content, is stories. Stories is the easiest way to entertain and educate. Think about when we were like kids and how our parents kind of educated us. It was through stories. You know, everything is stories. You will get more buyers by telling stories of your own experiences and background and own failures than just giving information, right? This is something very, very important. Like, for example, if I was a life coach and I said, like, 5 ways to, get through mental hurdles, boring. You know what I mean? Like, I would probably scroll past that in an instant. But if I read a story and it was like, one of my clients, for example, he's a health coach, right? And this guy at 19 years old was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer at 19. And I told him, don't tell posts about how dangerous cancer is. Talk about your experience. We talked about how he was diagnosed with cancer at 19 years old, how he overcame it, how he's the healthiest he's ever been now. He's 23 years old, and how he's a life coach helping other guys, other gentlemen, achieve their dream bodies, their dream physique, achieve their dream testosterone. Think about how much more powerful that is. Right, the story. Now, obviously, I hope you don't have a rock bottom story like that, but even the smaller stories, they have that, and they have that connection with people, right? I remember once I was telling a story about how, I was watching a soccer game the other day, and like a kid's soccer game. And the other day I noticed that, like, I was like, well, imagine if this game didn't have nets, it would just be a bunch of people running around with no purpose. I was like, well, that's how a lot of people act on LinkedIn. They just do a bunch of activity with no purpose or no goal or intention of what's to happen next. Some guy reached out to me next and said, your post really resonated with me because I'm a part-time soccer coach. And I was like, oh, well, there you go. You know what I mean? That's what you got to very much bring in stories, connections, things like that into your posts. Believe me, people will connect with you and people will buy faster. So that's that. Okay. So this is something very cool. This next LinkedIn algorithm update. Please pay attention to this. So LinkedIn, again, this is all due to the AI, keeps an eye out for keywords in your content. Right? So if you are a career coach, life coach, health coach, business coach, SEO agency owner, whatever, mention that consistently. So for example, I give an example. I said, for example, as a career coach who helps women in tech, this is what I've noticed, right? As soon as you say these keywords consistently in your content, the AI will pick up on this and say, oh, I see, whoever Susan here is creating content on, it keeps talking about being a career coach and helping women in tech. Right? Then people will start to connect with this and be like, okay, the AI rather will pick up on this, and guess what they'll do? They'll show your content to more of your ideal buyers. So this is something very, very much you need to take advantage of. Like, I can't stress this enough. Make sure you take advantage of this. Okay. Again, and it's not one post. You got to do this consecutively, right? If you're a career coach, like for example, if you take a look at my content over the last couple of weeks, I've slipped in so many times recently just on purpose, LinkedIn coach, helping people get clients from LinkedIn. And I'm telling you, I'm seeing the numbers go up. I'd say about 85% of the people who look at my profile on LinkedIn are my ideal buyers. 85, right? Now, I think that's really high. I don't expect you to have 85, but if you don't have above 50% of the people looking at your profile who are your ideal buyers, that's something that needs to be immediately be fixed, right? That's very, very important to do. And these are the things you need to be doing is by slipping this into your content, using these words. Okay. Next thing. A lot of people ask this, and this is a question I get asked a lot. Do you need pictures in your content? No, you don't necessarily need pictures in your content, but you need to be really good at copywriting if you're not going to be putting pictures into your content, right? This is something you really got to keep an eye out for, because when you put a picture in your content, you add an extra element, right? You add an extra element for someone to engage with, right? So for example, if you do I did a post the other day and it was just about me getting my scuba diving license, right? And during this lesson, right, where I was giving my scuba diving license rather, I talked about, like, I actually uploaded a picture of me in the water, right? It added to the post, right? It added to the post that I was, got my scuba diving license and all that kind of stuff. So again, you don't have to use photos in your content, but it's very important that if you're not going to use them, your copywriting skills need to be top notch. Like, you need to be elite at it, because you're eliminating a variable from the equation, right? So LinkedIn will not penalize you for not using a photo, but if you don't use a photo, make sure your copywriting skills are 100 times better. Sound good? Yes. Okay. All good. Next thing about LinkedIn videos. So going to LinkedIn videos here. So I don't know if a lot of you post LinkedIn videos, but they're very valuable too. And actually, I've noticed that LinkedIn videos these days are getting more views than LinkedIn text posts, which is, I find, very interesting. Now, LinkedIn videos, just straight up, the ideal video length is 1:20, right? If you're going to increase it, don't make it more than 1:50, right? Between 1:20 and a minute, the sweet spot is 1:20, but if you're going to do it between 1 minute and 1:50 maximum, right? That's what the LinkedIn algorithm wants. That's what's going to keep the highest level of engagement. Do not upload like 5-minute YouTube videos to LinkedIn. People will not watch them. People will just, click away. Next thing to remember is that LinkedIn does put their own subtitles in now. Like, if you notice, like, I don't know if any of you have already uploaded videos onto LinkedIn, you'll notice that LinkedIn puts their own like subtitle generator, but I kind of find it a bit ugly, so I put my own. But make sure either way, whether you're going to use LinkedIn subtitle generator or your own, make sure there's subtitles, because when videos play on LinkedIn, they play on mute. Right? Someone has to turn on the sound in order for them to see it. So if they just see a video and they see a mouth moving, but no words to read, they're going to click away. They're going to scroll away, right? Remember, this is about retention here. This is all about retention, getting your audience interested. That's why I put text in my videos, so that people can see, even if they're watching it on mute. And a lot of people reach out to me and say, I watched your video when I was at the office, thanks for putting the subtitles, because I can't play this on speaker, right? So it's the same idea. Make sure you have subtitles, whether you use LinkedIn or your own. Now, when this leads to the next point here, which is when you actually create videos on LinkedIn, you got to have a caption, right? Don't just upload the video by itself, but the caption needs to be very short, right? The whole purpose of your caption is to get someone interested in the video. It shouldn't be a whole new written post, right? Keep them short and get the person to watch the video, right? So for example, when a video I posted earlier this week, I said, look, LinkedIn algorithms have completely changed this year. In this video, I've explained the 5 biggest LinkedIn algorithm changes you need to know this year so that you can get more clients for your business. You see how that leads to the video? I didn't say what the algorithm changes were. I'm saying watch the video to find out what they are, right? So make sure that the written text connects to the video, right? Everything, just remember in general, the whole purpose of marketing is to get someone to the next step. When I write the text, the goal is to get you to watch the video. When I publish content, I want you to view my profile. When you view my profile, I want you to go through my lead magnet. When you go through my lead magnet, I want you to book a call, right? It's all just one sequential step. The reason people get stressed and get stuck is because they try and jump steps. Right? Don't jump steps. You'll be lucky. Don't get me wrong. Every now and then you're just going to get someone who sees a great piece of content and says, hey, how can I sign up here? And that's going to happen. And that's great. Those are great days. You can celebrate on those days, but at the same time, don't rely on those days, right? It's the same idea. They might come, but don't rely. Rely on the sequential, sturdy, reliable system. Okay. Now, this is very interesting. This next post here. LinkedIn does not, remember this. This is what makes LinkedIn such an amazing platform, right? This is what makes LinkedIn such an amazing platform, is that they want you to make money. They want you to run a business. They want you to do this, and they want to help you. And that's why everything's organic here. That's why you're not running ads like you do on Facebook or Instagram. These other ad platforms like Facebook and Instagram, they don't want you making money on their platform unless you're paying them for ads, right? That's the difference between LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook. So LinkedIn, again, this is super awesome. If you have been nurturing your audience, let's say for 2 months. So if you've been nurturing your audience for, let's say, like 2 or 3 months, or not even 2 or 3 months, 2 or 3 weeks, sorry, right? If you've been nurturing your audience for 2 or 3 weeks, giving value, telling stories, that's great. You will have built up a lot of brand equity. A lot of people will show interest in what you're doing, which is great. But But this is very important here. They may not know about your services, right? They may not know. I can't tell you how many people DM me and say, hey, I love your content. What do you do? I'm like, how do you not know what I do at this point? Right. But at the same time, this is why you can once every like 20 posts or so, right? Doesn't have to be exactly 20, but after a decent amount of given value, you can make a direct call to action for your services. In fact, I encourage you all to do that. Go and tell people, because think about it. You've been nurturing this audience for 2-3 weeks. It's time, right? It's like value, value, value. Then you can make your ask, right? Don't do it the other way around, but make sure that you're adding a lot of value. And then you can make an ask and say, hey, look, I'm currently opening enrollment for my program. I'm looking to work with, 5 ambitious women who are looking to advance in their career. I'm looking for, XYZ people who are looking to achieve this. If this is something you're interested, don't put a link, because remember what we talked about links. Say if this is something you're interested in, just like this post, make it a super easy barrier to entry. So just like this post and I can send you over all the details of what of how it'll work. Boom. Now super easy. If someone's interested, they just have to hit like. Done. Then you reach out to them, book the call, close the deal, right? And you can do that if you build the brand equity. Now, if you do this every day, well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory what will happen at that point. So again, be very, very wary of that. Okay. Let's keep going. I see. Manfred, I'll answer your question at the end, but thank you for that. I'll make sure to cover that. Okay. Next thing, editing your posts. This is something that I get asked a lot. Is it because a lot of people used to be super worried, like, oh, if I edit my post, is it going to kill reach? The answer is no. The answer is very straightforward. If you're editing the post to 15% or less, nothing's going to happen to the reach. So if you make a typo or, you say a sentence wrong or, you want to fix a quick thing, by all means, go ahead. You can edit your post. It's not going to affect reach. But if you basically delete it, very simply put, if you edit more than 15% of your post, yeah, they're going to determine this is essentially a different post and they're going to demote it, right? They will demote the post. So if you're going to edit, keep it simple. So editing, consider it for typos or some grammar errors or something like that. Totally fine. Make your edits. Anything more than that, no, make another post, right? Very simply put. I don't think it could be more clear than that. Okay. Next thing. So best time to publish on LinkedIn. Best time to publish, very simple, between 8 a.m. and 10:30 a.m., the local time zone of your buyers. If your market is in the US, follow New York time zone. The world runs through New York, right? Whether we like to admit it or not, I think like New York City has a bigger GDP than like 50% of the countries in the world, right? The world runs through New York, right? So if you don't know what time zone to publish at and your market's in the US, publish between 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. New York time zone. If your market's in England and you know where your market is, well, then do it in that time zone, right? But if when in doubt, always go to New York time zone, right? EST is the universal time zone, essentially, right? So just make sure of that. Now, if you are posting content on a regular basis on LinkedIn, make sure that you are posting content at the same time each day. So don't be like, oh, I have this window of 8 to 10:30 a.m. I can post whenever I want within that window. No. People like consistency. The algorithms favor consistency, right? So if you're a post, and again, they're not going to penalize you if you post at 8:30 one day and 8:33 the next day. That's fine. But make sure for the most part, publish around the same time so the algorithms kind of get the AI, because it's no longer before. Just remember this: before the LinkedIn algorithms was just a bunch of code, right? Just a bunch of code of man-made code where people just wrote and said, if this happens, then act like this. If this happens, then act like this. Now it's AI, so it's thinking for itself. It's like literally thinking. It's making decisions on its own. So the AI is figuring out, okay, well, here we go. Manfred posts between 8:30 and 8:45 a.m. He's pretty consistent. Let's boost it. Let's keep pushing the reach, right? So you got to understand, you're not dealing with just like some rules that you can bend or get around anymore. The rules are smart. The AI is smart now, right? It knows what's up. And don't look at this as like a thing you need to beat. Look at it as something you need to play within, and it'll reward you, right? That's the most important thing to know about. Okay. Everything clear so far with what I'm saying? Yes. All good. Okay. Now, this is very important too. When you post content on LinkedIn, this is actually the same. This is the same as last year, but I just thought it was very important to put. When you post content on LinkedIn, you need to respond to all the comments that come in ASAP within the first hour. Like, stay on your computer, stay near your phone, stay near that post for the first hour. As comments come in, respond quickly, because the worst thing you can do is make a post and forget about it, right? The LinkedIn algorithms will determine, okay, you're not really active with this post, demote. What do the algorithms want most? Remember, what does LinkedIn want most as a platform? They want you to stay on the platform. They want you to stay. So if you're not responding to comments, they're going to be like, oh, well, you're not responding to comments here. So let's demote your content. Let's demote Lauren's content here. Let's demote Beverly's content, right? Because she's not responding to the comments on her post, right? This is, again, use this to your advantage, respond. And after an hour, that's fine. Like, you don't have to be so attentive to it to the minute, but make sure you're actively responding to comments as they come in. This is very, 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 very important to do. Okay. Done. Pretty clear. Okay. Next thing. This is probably one of the most important. I keep saying the most important, but they're all very important. Do not repost your old content. The AI is way too smart to know if you're reposting your old content, even if it's from like 3 years ago. Do not repost old content. You not only will that demote that piece of content, it'll demote your content for the next week or so. They're basically going to determine you as they're basically going to shadow ban you, if you know what that term means, where they're going to not say anything, but all of a sudden you're going to look at your numbers and be like, why am I getting way less views than I used to, right? Because they don't want you reposting your old content. Now, the work around this, and I do think you should repost your old content in a different way. The work around this, and I tell this to my clients all the time, go and find your best 5 performing posts of the last 6 months, get them all ready and rewrite them. Just rewrite them in different set of words. They did really well before. If you did a post that got a lot of engagement or did really well for you or brought you a buyer, just do that post again in a different set of words. You know what I mean? That's a super easy thing to do. And it saves you from content block. It saves you from writer's block. It makes your life way easier. I'd say I do this probably once every 3 months. I'll go look at all my previous content that did really well, that either brought me a buyer, got a lot of views, or you basically push the agenda forward. And then I just rewrite those posts, and it makes things really, 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 really easy. Okay. So those are the biggest LinkedIn algorithm updates you all need to know about, right? Like, there's a bunch more, but I just wanted to narrow it down to the top 15 for you. Now, I want to preface everything that I've been working on. I see a lot of comments in the, questions in the chat. I promise I'll get to those in just a sec. But I really want to emphasize something to you here. And this is because I was almost skeptical to create this lesson for you all today, because the algorithms are super important, but they're nothing without an actual client acquisition strategy, right? Think about it like this. Algorithms are like, let's say you're making, I don't know, a meal, right? The algorithms are like the spices. The actual strategy is the meat, right? If for those of you who are meat eaters, right? You can't just make a meal with spices. The spices enhance the meal, right? It's like no one likes boiled chicken with nothing, right? But at the same time, if you just throw spices into a pan and there's no chicken, well, what are you eating? You know what I mean? So you have to make sure that the two things are connected. Make sure you actually have a good client acquisition strategy towards actually setting all this up. So with that being said, I'm trying to look at the time. Do I have enough time? Yeah, I think I have enough time to go through a little bit here. So I'm actually going to go through a little bit of strategy with you right now, right? And then don't worry, I'll make sure we have time for questions, everything like that. It'll just take a minute here, but I really want to go through a couple things I was talking about before that I really want to make sure here. So remember what I was saying earlier is that your center point of all your LinkedIn activity needs to be your LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn profile, everything, remember this. Just remember this. I promise you your life will become so much easier if you just remember these two things. Your goal from every activity that you do from LinkedIn, you only have 2 goals. Get people to your LinkedIn profile and book calls. If you only focus on just achieving those 2 things, you will get clients. Get people to your LinkedIn profile and book calls, right? Now, how do we do this? How do we actually get people onto our LinkedIn profile and booking calls? This is where everything that we talk about goes into play, right? When I post content on LinkedIn, right? I post content about, what do I post? I post about 10 to 15 times per week on LinkedIn, right? I'm posting pretty much multiple times per day. Now, I'm not saying you need to do any of this, right? I'm saying you could publish half as much. It depends on what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve. But the reason I publish all this content here on LinkedIn, and the majority of my content does not have call to actions, right? The majority, some of it does, but the majority does not, is I'm just trying to drive you to my LinkedIn profile. Just trying to drive you to my LinkedIn profile. Because once I get you to my LinkedIn profile. Now, I don't get a huge amount of views intentionally, right? Like I get about anywhere between 10 to 15,000 views per week on LinkedIn, right? That's pretty standard week after week what I get on LinkedIn. Now, if I'm getting about 10 to 15,000 views on my content every week on LinkedIn, my goal from that is to drive at least 10% of those views to my LinkedIn profile, even 5%, right? Even if I get only 200 people looking at my profile, this is very important, right? This is very important. Now, going back to what I was saying before, you need to pay attention to who's looking at your profile, right? And it might take a minute. You might have to get like LinkedIn Premium. It's part of the process, but go and look and see who's viewing your profile. If you don't know, I'll just so you all know, my ideal clients here are coaches, consultants. I just want you to keep an eye out and see, what percentage of the people looking at my profile are either coaches, consultants, or agency owners. We got a coach here. We got a coach. What is he? This guy seems like he's in coaching, right? Coaching. What do we have? Coach, right? All the coach, right? Everybody here who's looking at my stuff, or the majority of people who are looking at my stuff, are my ideal buyers, right? Because my content is speaking to the right people. Now, to continue on with this, my entire goal, my entire system here is drive them to my LinkedIn profile and get them to do one thing. When you come to my profile, there's only one thing you can do, right? I try and get you to watch my free training video here, right? If you look at my LinkedIn profile here, what does it say? Learn how to land 5 new clients from LinkedIn this month. Watch this free training video. Very simply put, right? I drive them to my LinkedIn. I drive them to this link here. They watch it. Now, again, this is not a sales pitch. This is not me talking about I don't even mention my services. I literally do not mention my services in this. They give me their name and email. Great. That gets saved into my database. Boom. They watch this training video. And then from this training video, this is 10 minutes of value, just like I'm doing on this call, right? I didn't talk about my service. I talked about it, but I didn't like make any offers or anything like that, right? Just straight value. Then at the end of the call, at the end of this video, rather, I simply make an offer for a phone call and say, hey, look, if you like what you learned in this video, you want to book a call with me, schedule your call here. Then this button pops up, they schedule a call, and then boom, the call is now scheduled in the calendar. I have someone in the calendar ready to go, right? So this is exactly what I'm trying to tell you, is that you need to have a system, right? Everything I just told you about getting more views, getting more of the buyers, all that, you need to have that system dialed in where it's like, okay, what kind of content should I create that actually attracts buyers? How do I set up this training system? How do I set this all up so that I can actually get more buyers for my services? This is I can't stress this enough. I'm almost getting stressing it, but you need to make sure you have this system set up, right? Is make sure that it's like that. And because we're limited on time, I would go through everything with you. If I had your time here for the next 3 hours, I'd sit down and, hammer it all out with all of you here, but I don't. I only have your time for about 17 minutes more. So for that reason, what I've decided to do is, first of all, I'm going to give you all the free training that I promised, right? I promised that, I'm going to give you that. So for that free training, the group call that I told you about what kind of content that you should create to actually get buyers making purchasing decisions with you, I will give you that free training right after this call. Easiest way to get that, I can see the list. I can see 38 people are still here, which is great. I will give you that free training. If all you need to do is just message me on LinkedIn, right? That's the only way I can send it to you. Also, just send me a message at the end of this training on LinkedIn saying, hey, Saram, I was here at the training until, the end of the day. Can you please, or till the end of the call, can you please send it over to me and I will give it to you. Now, another thing I also want to give you, and this is something I haven't done before, is for people who want this, right, is I'm giving the opportunity to have what I call a game plan session with me. Now, this is different than a typical strategy call or anything like this. This is a call where I will sit down with you together, one-on-one, and I'll actually help you build out the same strategy I just showed you with the algorithm updates, right? It'll be a 45-minute call. We'll go through everything start to finish to build out this strategy together, right? Because I said, we went through the algorithm updates. We didn't have time to go through the strategy today. So I'll offer this call with you today where we can go through this and build out this entire strategy. And then, hey, at the end of the day, if I feel like it's a good fit for us to work together, I'll tell you about my program and how we can help you even further, right? Again, 45-minute call will help you. A program could obviously change the entire game for you. But again, no obligation there whatsoever. The whole goal of this call, like I said, is going to be 99% value, me giving you an entire game plan session of exactly what you're going to need to do to get your next 5, 10, 15 clients from LinkedIn. And then at the end, if I feel it's the right fit for us to work together, I'll tell you about my program. And then if you do choose to enroll in the program, which is, again, totally your call. If you do choose to enroll in the program, because only for the people who are here at this training, I will give you an extra month of coaching into my program for free, right? So normally the program's a 6-month program. I'll give you an extra month at no additional cost to 7 months. And that's a group coaching program. I'll go into all the details on the call, but just so you know that I really want to reward you all for actually just being here, right? You guys, there's literally 40 people in this room. I think we started with 38, which means that the room grew over the last 45 minutes, which I'm very happy about, the fact that you guys all stayed to the end. So yes, Juanita is, we'll put my calendar link in the what is it called? The chat right now. So you can book that call with me. Again, remember, it is a game plan session. So come prepared, come with, your offer ready, come with what you're doing right now. And we're going to craft your entire game plan strategy on that call to make sure that you can get your next 5, 10, 15 clients as quickly as possible from LinkedIn. And then again, as I said, if it's the right fit, I'll tell you about my coaching program, how we can work even closer together in a one-on-one setting going further. And then if you do choose to enroll, you'll get an extra month of coaching from the program. So I'll give you all that as well, totally for free, the extra month. So with that being said, I did want to leave time for questions, so we have ample time here. So I'm going to scroll up to the top because I see a lot of questions, and I'm going to answer them one by one. And then same thing, we can, if you want to discuss, you can go off mute with each question, and we can go from there. So let's take a look here. So Manfred said, I hope I'm saying your name right, by the way. I really hope.
Yeah, it's correct.
Okay, thank you. So you
It's
said
correct.
Thank you. So you said, are hashtags, e.g. job, good enough instead of keywords in the post? No need for hashtags anymore. Essentially, that's, what I was saying about the algorithm update before, that the keywords that you put in, the AI will pick up on it. So no, you don't need to worry about hashtags at all really anymore. Like if you want to slip 1 or 2 in, that's fine, but no big deal.
Right. Well, that's basically what I've put in a further question further down. What I usually do with my posts, just put in company name, what I'm doing. So with the assumption that the algorithm would pick it up, and continue, but I basically would have to put everything into my post rather than into a hashtag. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I wouldn't try and put 100 different keywords because that gets a little complicated.
Sure.
I would maybe narrow it down to 1 to 3 top keywords and include that into your actual content. And I think that'll help you a lot better as well.
Right. And leave the hashtags out.
Yeah, leave the hashtags out. The algorithms are more than intelligent to be able to help you. Just make sure the keywords are consistently.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, great question though. I'm glad you asked that. Okay, so again, I really hope I'm not pronouncing this wrong. I hate when people pronounce my name wrong. Is it Parmes? Do postcard posts count as part of the 20 posts? So first, let me know if I said your name right, and then we'll go to the question. I want to make sure. Okay, thank you. So what do you mean by postcard posts? Are you referring to carousel posts?
No, not carousel, just one small postcard with some kind of caption, quote, something like that. And I post that at least 3 times a week. And then I have additional longer posts.
Sure. I mean, I understand what you're saying now. Yeah, I mean, those posts I would naturally say that those posts inherently, because they're just very short, have less value. So it's not, I really want to say what I was trying to emphasize before is that it's not specifically 20 posts. It's more so when you've kind of picked up, you'll have a feel for it. When the audience is warm, when you're getting more engagement, once you're at that point, then yeah, make a direct offer. So maybe if you're doing more postcard posts, it might be 30 posts instead of 20 for you, but that time will essentially come. And then when that time comes, be sure to make a direct offer for your services and, book those calls as quickly as possible.
Got it. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, let's keep going. So Coach Chi, if post links and repeated CTA in old posts kills reach, should we delete those old posts? No. Never delete old posts. You're not going to be penalized for a post that you made, 2 years ago or 6 months ago or before the algorithm changed. That post is kind of already not doing much at all. So no, don't worry about that. Essentially, you're totally fine there. Don't delete any of your old posts. I mean, if there's something you're not proud of, which I doubt, but if there's something like that, then yeah, sure, delete that. But for the most part, don't worry about the algorithm changes for your old post. This is essentially moving forward with everything. So thank you for that question. By the way, yeah, don't forget to book that call. I think some of you have already booked. Hold on, let me just check before. Okay, I see a couple of you have booked, which is great. Awesome. Okay. Good. Looking forward to speaking with you. Okay, yeah, I see Rachel's booked. Amy has booked. Awesome. Looking forward to speaking with you, Rachel, Amy. Okay, so let's keep going. So Ariana here says, can you share what platform did you use to make the video that allows the pop-up and then for the people to sign up for the call? Yeah, totally. So I use ClickFunnels for the majority for my software for pretty much everything here. Now, I want to preface this by saying that you don't need to use ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels is a more of like a higher end software. It depends on what you're using it for, right? Like for example, that landing page and software that you just saw me use for my entire backend, I use ClickFunnels for my landing page software. I use it to host my online course. I use it to transact payments. I use it for everything. My entire business from the back end runs through ClickFunnels, right? So for that reason, it's justified in me paying them $100 a month for all the software. But if you just want to build out a landing page, you could do it on like Wix for like $5, right? It would be, much easier with you that way. So just so you know, like there's cheaper options if you so desire that to be the case. But if you want to build your entire backend business, like your online course, your payment structure, then yeah, I can even help you, set it up. If you do book that call, we can go through it and I can show you everything I'm doing from the back end there. Awesome. Okay, cool. Let's keep going here. So Bodan, you said, hold on. All right, Bodan said, to be able to sell high ticket offers, we need to qualify the lead. Yes. One of the lead qualification questions should be, what's your average monthly income? The question should be boundary 5,000 because depending on income. Yeah, I mean, here's my thing. And I'm glad you asked this question. I only put these super qualifying questions about income and stuff like that because they're kind of edgy questions and they could easily turn somebody off, right? If they see that question. I only put those questions if I'm getting a lot of unqualified people booking calls with me, right? So if you're getting a lot of people who are just not able to afford your services or not able to, who are just there to get information and leave, well, then, yeah, you can put that question. And I would probably say, what is your monthly income above or below? So you don't ask any specific questions. And again, I would only include that question if and only if I'm receiving a lot of unqualified calls, and it's essentially to fix it. Like, for example, for myself, I don't have that many unqualified calls, right? The majority of the people who I get on sales calls with who are interested in working with me, it's a pretty solid number, right? Like I haven't run into like too much of an unqualified, I don't ask that question essentially, right? Because it hasn't been an issue for me. So I hope that answers your question there. So Dasha here says, what is the ideal ratio between posts, videos, carousels? Great question. The answer to that is whatever you like best. For example, if you're, I tell this to my clients all the time. If you're not comfortable on video, then don't create videos because it's only going to hurt you, right? It's only going to hurt you because you're not comfortable on video. People are going to see that on video and they're going to be more turned off and not interested in working with you. And oppositely, if you're really good at writing, then just do what's best for you. The beauty of LinkedIn is we have different, outlets to create content. We have carousels, we have written posts, we have videos, right? I like writing and videos, right? Those are the two that I love to do most. I'm not really a big fan of carousels. Like I do them here and there. But my two are writing and video. I love to write and I love to be on camera, obviously, as you can see here. So that's the idea behind that. So yes, I can absolutely, so to answer your question succinctly, whichever ones you feel most comfortable doing, right? There's no right or wrong in that equation, right? I know people who literally just write, never posted a video, who make like 40 grand a month, right? I know people who don't post any written content and just do videos and also make 40 grand a month, right? It's completely contextual to what you feel you're best at. So don't feel like you have to do one or the other. Okay. Erica said here, what about spacing? Yeah. This goes back to the whole idea of what we were talking about content before. About scanning people. Yeah, you don't want to write paragraphs, right? In terms of format with content on LinkedIn, it should be line by line by line posts, right? Let people, scan through your posts. So one line, next line, and space them so it's an easy read. You can just go look at my content and see how I write my content, and you can use that format, and that should be pretty easy. George, you messaged me saying, do we need to post every day? I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's more posting, more traffic, more calls, more buyers, right? So it's totally it's not necessarily, do you need to post more every day? It's how many buyers do you want, right? Like how big do you want to take this, right? More buyers, naturally, when you post more content, more good content, at least, you're going to get more people looking at you, right? So for me, I post Monday to Friday, but within Monday to Friday, I post 10 to 15 times per week. So that's me. Okay, nice. I see a few more of you have booked calls. Who has booked? Bhupinder has booked a call. Paramez has booked a call. Again, I'm so sorry if I'm saying these names wrong. Siva has booked a call. Nice. Okay, so guys, remember, take advantage of this call. I don't think I've given a game plan session away ever before where I literally help you create your next 90-day game plan to get 5 clients. So if you do want to do this, book this call with me. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Yep. Siva, don't worry. I saw you book the call, so we can talk then for sure. Cool. Denise, don't worry. Juanita will message you, and then Juanita, if you can message Denise and just find a time for her that works, that would be best. So we could just make sure we get her on the calendar. Okay. So Bodan, going back, but again, boundary should be 5,000 or higher, or like 10,000. Bodan, it depends on your buyers, right? Like it depends on your service, right? I can't just say like 10,000 or higher, 5,000. It depends. Is your service $1,000? Is your service $500? Typically $5,000 or more, I would say, is pretty reasonable, right? I think you should be fine. I'd say like most people who make $5,000 a month probably have a decent savings and could probably purchase. So my guess would be that, but again, it's very contextual to what the price of your service is. What app? Oh, so Amy says, what application do I use? So I use an application called Flipscribe. Kind of a little janky, to be honest. I don't know if I would 100% recommend it. We always have some tech issues. They're not bad though. They're nice. But to Jackie's point, I think Descript is probably one of the best ones that comes at a cheaper price too. Jackie, how much do you pay for Descript? Sorry, I just put you on the spot. Was that you who said Descript?
Yeah, it was me. Sorry, my mic was turned off. I don't remember. It's not expensive. The reason I like it is because I know nothing about editing videos, and it's a text editor. So you edit the transcript and it fixes the video automatically. And that is so nice for those of us who don't know anything about tech. So yeah, they've got a free version though, if you want to just try it out to see if you like it. Cause some people really like that and some don't. So yeah. But it's not expensive. Whatever it is, it's not super expensive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. I've heard good things about Descript. I might even switch to that. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Next question was, any difference in any of these strategies? Algorithm changes if it's B2B or B2C? Nope. No difference, because it's just, at the end of the day, it's not B2B or B2C. It's person to person, right? It's decision maker to seller. So everything works the best. Just make sure you're speaking to the decision maker, right? I have some clients who work with companies, right? Like rather than just like individuals. And I say, look, find the decision maker, cater your content to the decision maker, your life will be easier. The last thing you want to do is go through some bureaucratic rat race of like, let me transfer you to the VP and go through a 6-month sales cycle for a $5,000 program. You don't want to do that. You want to make it quicker. So just make sure you're speaking to the decision maker as your first point of contact, right? Max second point, but ideally first. Great. Manfred, I like all comments on my post and always respond. Is there a certain minimum number of characters? No, I mean, affairs, as long as you're acknowledging them and like, not just putting like a thumbs up or something like that, you'll be fine. So right. Good question there.
Grant.
Question, how do you qualify yours as good content based on engagement? Nope. Ultimately you qualify your content. You don't qualify it individually. You qualify, the way I do it is I qualify my content week by week. And at the end of the day, I look at my number. You got to look at your numbers every week and say like, okay, how much content did I post? How many views did I get? How many offers for a call did I make? How many calls did I book? How much cash did I collect? Right? You got to look at the numbers just like that. Like I was saying, like I have like, I don't know if I can give that. Okay. I don't know if I have it available is what I was saying, but you make like a spreadsheet and just put those things on it, right? Where it's like, how much content did I post? How many views did I get? How many calls did I book? How many offers for a call did I book rather? How many calls did I take? How many people showed up? How much cash did I collect? Put all those numbers in there and you'll see very clearly whether it was good content or not based on the result you're trying to get. We'll be putting the recording out there. Got it. Awesome. Descript. Great. Okay. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. Okay. Awesome. So that does wrap it up. Again, don't forget, if you want the recording that we just the group coaching call recording that I promised to everyone who watched to the end, do not worry, come to this call just DM me on LinkedIn and I will personally send that to you. So you'll be all good to go. And then, yeah, this is pretty much last chance. If you want to book this game plan session with me, it'll be you and I working together, building out your entire next 90-day strategy to get your next 5, 10, 15 clients, depending on whatever your goal is. So last chance to book that call. Juanita will put that in there. But with that being said, thank you so much for attending. Really appreciate everyone being here. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next webinar. So thanks again. Don't forget to DM me for the recording, and I will see you later. Take care, everybody. Thanks for attending.
Thank you,
See
mate.
you.
Thank you so much.